channel Born to Create. This is Maria. I am excited to share with you today my story. So just for the people that don't know me yet, I help artists to self-actualize, and it may be that you don't really resonate with artists yet, but this channel is all about you self-actualizing into who you were born to be and create what you were born to create, because I truly believe in that everyone has a purpose, and that is not because I want anybody to have a purpose, but because through my own self-discovery I have gone through a lot of self-study, but also been working with a lot of people who have gone on to personal development. And one of the things about purpose is it's intimately ingrained with self-actualizing into who you truly are, so that you are living a fulfilled life, right? So, and it doesn't matter where you come from, what background you have, everyone has the potential to self-actualize into who you truly are, right? All the layers we have on top are layers of all the things that we have copied, that we have heard a lot of times. It's the energy we've been around. It is, the environment we've been around. And, we're bringing things from our past lives into this lives as well. And it's not truly you. So just to explain to you what truly you is and what truly not truly you is, is that, we're all energy, right? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. That means, consciousness is who we truly are. Now, I'm not God, or I'm not, the creator. So, this is just a very simple description of explaining like what we are made of, right? So it's not very deep. But there's a difference between who we are in our physical selves and who we are in our non-physical selves. So if there is something that makes our heart pump, apart from we have a heart and blood to pump around, there is something else that makes your heart pump. There's something else that makes you breathe. It's so subconscious, it's something that is so automatic. Like if you go to sleep and don't think about breathing, you'll still be breathing. Your heart will still be beating. So it's that consciousness that keeps that going, right? It's a desire. It comes from somewhere else but the physical. It's like how that we know that the heart pumps blood is great, but there is something else that actually has a desire to be here. Now, I know there are people who say, oh, I didn't choose to be here, but that's not true. You did. Maybe not as someone like you didn't, it happened before you were born, basically. Okay, so let's just be mindful and open for the idea that things happen before they are physical. There is a metaphysical information that makes it happen. Just like when we have an idea about something, we have the idea first, and it's first an energy, it's first thought, and then it is being created. So I truly believe that everyone has a purpose, that everyone brings their personal, their light, their talents, and we all have a purpose. Like if you take one person out, the whole world will be different. If you take one person out, the whole world will be different. The chances that your parents have met at the exact time, to have created exactly you, that chance is down to 0.00000. There was a study made around this, okay? So the chances that you are born as being you are so low that the fact that you are being born being you, it is purposeful. You didn't come by accident. You came with a purpose. And that is beyond the physical things that you've experienced, especially if you're now saying, yeah, but I haven't had the best upbringing, I didn't have the best start in my life. Even that you have chosen. And that is particularly powerful because when you are the creator of your life and you realize that you can change and that you came here on purpose to experience what you have experienced, it gives you the power to be able to now choose as well how you want to live your life. Like, instead of living in a state of victimhood, even though it is well explained and understood why you would. But if you know that you have come here for a purpose to experience what you have experienced, then you can learn as well from it on a soul growth level what you were supposed to learn from it, what you wanted to learn from it. And it's oftentimes I find it hard to talk about this because I know, people then think, yeah, but why are all these bad things happening in the world? I'm nobody to say that this is right. This is not what I'm saying. Anything that's bad, abuse, hurting somebody is not good. And I'm not reflecting on this as good or bad. I'm coming from it from the soul level. And every soul that comes to this earth in whatever incarnation has chosen to do this for a particular purpose of growth. And I'm not going to dive deeper into this, but at this stage, I'm going to do that later on. Or perhaps also I can point you into directions if you want to learn more about this. But overall, I want you to know that you are not a victim to your life. You can change it at any point. You can learn from it, grow from it. You can also let yourself be destroyed by it. But you have a choice. And if it doesn't feel like possible at this stage, that's also fine. But if you bring your mind to just be open to the idea that you could change it, and also time is relative, it's absolutely relative. So, sometimes 1 minute feels completely painful. Let's say, working out, for example. Sometimes a year can feel short, and another time a year can feel really long, or it could also feel as if it's never happened. Whatever you're going through right now, you have power to change it. So this is all just in a nutshell. And I know I went on a tangent about that you have a purpose for being here. The same goes to me, right? So until the age of 21, I was living my life by default. So I thought that life was just the way it is and I just flow with it, right? And I thought that was kind of like a very spiritual kind of way, because I was brought up in an environment where my mom was a psychologist, her partners were either astrologers or artists and into spirituality. So this is all I've grown up with since I can remember. And my mom, she has gone the alternative route, also wanting to align to more of the spirit side of things rather than the physical side of things and the big shiny objects. So it was also a reaction, right? But so I was living by default because I didn't really know who I was. I kind of had an understanding, kind of had best intentions. My focus was on being somebody who takes care of people, somebody who has empathy, somebody who can listen. That was the aspects that kind of come with my nature. But I was a huge people pleaser, so I would people please like no tomorrow. And because I was scared of people being rejected by people, that was so important to me. I couldn't handle disharmony of any kind, that I would people please to my own destruction, right? So I would always say yes to everything. I would not have my own opinions. I would feel scared to voice my own opinions, and that was just basically all my life. So I was attracting those relationships that would be aligned to that energy, right? Because going back to, we're energetic beings, and the things that we think and feel, they have a vibration. Like even colors, anything has a vibration, like everything has sound. Okay, we can go deep into that. Everything has a vibration because it's all energy. The table is the same as us. It just vibrates differently. I was attracting those relationships into my life as well that were basically mirroring the lack of respect and lack of self-love and lack of trust I had toward myself. So what was I faced? I was faced with lack of trust towards me, I was faced with lack of respect towards me, and I was reflected with, like very destructive words and, going into the danger zone. So, 3 incidents with one relationship where, I felt scared of my life, and that was really threatening. I'm not going to explain exactly what happened, but it was mental and physical abuse. The thing was, though, that I was doing mental and physical abuse to myself. The physical abuse was mainly the self-destructive behaviors of drug taking, for example, which, a lot of it was lots of fun. It was about having fun, but at the same time, I didn't care what I put into my body. I didn't care if it destroyed me. I didn't care about the repercussions later on. I just wanted to feel good in the moment. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to forget about, the reality I was experiencing. And therefore my food, it wasn't that great. And, even though I always used to love healthy food, but, like in those times, I would just eat whatever I could do. I wouldn't really cook for myself unless it was for somebody else. So I didn't really respect my body, I didn't really work out. I was really lazy. Like, working out is only something that started for me mid-20s. Well, I started yoga around beginning 20s, around a similar time, 2009 or something. Got really, really into yoga, and I love that. But I never ran, and I didn't like hard workouts, and I always had the idea of like, my body is shaped the way it is because it's the way it is. I never truly understood that you can change your body composition and you can be more athletic if you put the work in. Anyway, it's not that I never worked out before, but you kind of like get the idea. Like, I didn't really take much care of myself and my appearance, apart from, like getting dressed up and taking and drinking things that would make me feel good in the moment. The problem with that is, of course, that I was living a life from moment to moment, from moment to moment. But in my day-to-day, I would, hide from facing my fears. To be honest, I also didn't have a vision. The only vision that I had was that I wanted to, I don't know when that vision came in. I wanted to, quite early, I wanted to have a business that helps people and helps the world. That was one thing that always was with me. I kind of also knew that it would be something creative, because I knew that that was like the thing that I was most familiar with, and I knew how to do best. Because all the other things like numbers and stuff like that, which the business side of things that I really had to put my head into later on, that did not come easy for me, right? Organizational skills, even though I'm a Virgo, have not come easy for me. That's because of the neurodivergence. It doesn't mean that I don't like to be organized and have it organized. I love to, but I forget everything. Like, I misplace everything. And as a teenager, everything would be all over the place. Yeah, I always wanted to have a business that would help people. So, okay, creativity and helping people, that was something that I always wanted to do, but I didn't have a vision. I didn't know, okay, this is where I'm going. I was kind of just going. I did a foundation course in Kingston upon Thames, like in England, because I lived there from age of 18, 19. And just a little bit of background, I was living in Spain before, even though I'm German, but I lived in Spain from the age of 11. And I went to an English school there, hence the, English school system that was basically in from the age of 11. So I then kind of like went into university in England and stuff. So I did a foundation course because I didn't know what to do creatively. And I wanted to do art, but I've chosen to not study art because I was bored of it. It's almost like something that I thought I was bored of it, because I thought that I should study something new, so something that I can fall back on, right? And I think this is one of the very common thoughts for people, to make sure you study something that you can fall back on later. My idea was, okay, I can, well, obviously it kind of excited me to have like a fashion brand and stuff, and then I could change the fashion world, you know, I'm all visionary and stuff. That was really cool. I was like, okay, yeah, I can have a new canvas that's not just a canvas to do my art on. But then also the thought of like, yeah, and you know, if nothing works out, I can always still sew clothes for people. If things get really hard, you know, really difficult, I think that's my grandma coming through me. When things get really difficult, at least I can still sew, you know, clothes. I can, you know, it gets really cold and then I can sew clothes. But of course, it's a skill. It's a skill I didn't know before. And it was exciting and new in some way, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. But the problem with that was, until that point, I never had anything to do with fashion. Never. I was not really like the fashionable type. I didn't really care about brands. I didn't really understand like, you know, trends or anything like this. But I decided to go into fashion. Yeah, okay, see the whole sort of like misplacement there. Okay, I get excited about learning new things, and I had a vision that was exciting. And first year of studies was amazing. I was like one of the best, like, you know, kind of like chosen for competitions and awards and stuff. And that was really exciting and encouraging. But second year was all right. It was still very good. But end of the second year, I kind of went downhill because of having a relationship. And as I mentioned before, my relationships being destructive, that relationship was my whole focus, because I would people please. And I would then just people please and just want to spend time because, you know, as I was drinking and doing drugs, just wanting to feel good, I wanted to just have fun and feel good. And I completely neglected my studies. On the other side of the coin, you know, I also neglected my studies because it wasn't truly aligning to who I was. I wasn't so passionate about it that I could see it through completely, right? Because people around me in the fashion industry, and some that now I know are really big as well, are doing so well, they were really breathing and living fashion. They would know all the brands, all the designers, and all the cuts and all the things, and they would constantly research. And that is that energy when you're passionate about something, right? This is, later on I've discovered, what I've always been passionate about was spirituality, consciousness, sharing things with people, listening to them, having empathy. That came so natural to me. I always took it for granted until way later I discovered, wow, actually, maybe I do something with that. So yeah, my studies went on. I then sort of like went a little bit downhill. Relationship was like my priority. I lost myself completely in that relationship, absolutely, completely. I let myself be sort of like, how do you call it? I let myself be possessed. You know, the possessiveness of the relationship. You know, I would just be at home. I would do the cooking, do the cleaning, have no life because I wasn't allowed to have friends, and, you know, wasn't allowed to dress the way that I was. So the whole self-expression got completely taken away from me. But as I'm saying this, it got taken away from me. I let it be taken away, but I didn't know better at the time. And I was really quite depressed. Also, the relationship wasn't fair. It was getting abusive. And then I found Kabbalah, and Kabbalah was basically this ancient old wisdom that is, you know, not a religion, but it's like the age-old language, you know, with Aramaic. It's like what the world has started with in terms of like the language and the writings and stuff. And in that Torah, and trust me, I'm not a religious person. There's nothing against religion. Like, I mean, I do have my thing with it, but I don't like the separation and the judgment and the wars from religion to religion, and the rules that are just a little bit, I find that a lot of it a little bit like don't resonate with it. But so I'm not a religious person, so this is more about the energy. It's like quantum physics. It's like you know, the studies about the metaphysical is energy work. And it's also psychology and philosophy. It's got everything in it, right? It's almost like the source. Like Newton basically discovered it, and Albert Einstein, he was working with it and discovered that. And so many people that, you know, have done great discoveries, or, you know, are sort of like some people in history that you know, have done great inventions. They always had something to do with Kabbalah. So it found me, or I found it, like somehow we had a book that came to us, and I opened the book and I was like, wow, this is almost like the things I've been waiting for, because I always had this feeling that there is more to life than what it was. And because, as I mentioned, I was spiritual, I didn't quite know what it was though. Like, what are the answers to the questions that I have? And Kabbalah is what brought me that. And it felt like remembering rather than new information. It felt like, yes, that's it. Like feelings that I've had, but that just got finally put into words and into order. Okay? So being in that relationship, of having found Kabbalah, having understood about how I can take charge of my life, that I'm not a victim of it, that I have thoughts that are automatically sort of like spiraling down in negativity, feeling like I am hopeless and that I cannot, you know, change anything, understanding that I could change these around. I was doing hard work on my mind and on working on changing those thoughts around, on pausing, on being really mindful of what am I thinking now, what am I choosing to think, and actually choose to think differently. And I had this innate trust all of a sudden towards life and towards like how things work. I got out of that relationship, and I tell you, like in a different life, if I hadn't found that, probably would not have made it out of the relationship, and it would have gotten really bad. So yeah, I got out. One of the things that then happened after is, as I was doing and working and practicing, you know, all these new tools that I've learned about, you know, what the human experience really is, you know, the ego self, the soul part of us, consciousness, aligning to sharing and all of that, you're really passionate about it. Just because I came out of this really possessive relationship feeling like I've completely lost myself and being neurodivergent, which, you know, kind of gives me those like two extremes. Like I let myself lose myself so completely that then when I had that newfound freedom, like literally feeling free in my life, I then wanted to sort of, you know, not feel like I have to go after any rules. And what I did then was just kind of like, I pushed away all these new tools, and I was like, I'm not gonna go after any rules. I'm just gonna live how I want to live. I'm gonna experience everything I haven't experienced. I'm gonna go crazy and just live life and just indulge and you know, do what I want. And as I did that, I, you know, was going further into the party scene, further into the drinking and the alcohol and the drugs, and just one thing spiraled after the other, until it was so bad that I felt like I lost my soul. And I had a situation where, like, later on, that was 2011, where I was sitting in like, I think I was probably a few days up, and I was sitting on the terrace of a club, having in a smoking area, and I was reflecting, like feeling really, really soulless, like no feelings at all. Like, at least before, I would feel guilty or guilt. That was like kind of like one of the main feelings I would feel. Also not ideal, but I felt like even that was gone. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. I don't feel anything. I don't feel any desire for anything really, like nothing really. I don't even care. Like, it was so crazy. And I just thought about do I want to live like that? Do I want to live feelingless? And perhaps my soul at that point was kind of talking to me. Even though I felt like I had lost my soul, something happened in that moment where I was reflecting, realizing where I am, and that this is not life, this is actually, death. And so, realizing how I am affecting the people around me, is not positive. I'm not a good influence. I'm not, helping and inspiring people like how I always wanted to. So I decided to kind of do the opposite, right? I knew, okay, I had the tools that I learned with Kabbalah. I know that I could change my thoughts, change my behaviors, and I could go through that difficult time of changing the things that, were comfort zones. So at that point, obviously, my whole body was addicted to going out, was addicted to taking drugs, it was addicted to needing something, always to make me feel good and to take that darkness away. And it was so hard, I have to tell you, because I was, withdrawing basically from that whole scene. And I let go of lots of people I would spend time around, and in a way as well that was very much like cutting cords completely from one day to the next. Also not the nicest to some people, of course, but it just had to happen. I just had to think of myself. I had to stop living in fear, stop running from life, stop running from responsibilities, and take charge of my life. And that's kind of like the pivot. So I took myself into rehab. I called my mum and asked, please take me, and kind of like embraced my creativity, created music, worked out, done yoga, did running, spent only time in nature. And it was still a process of a few years, but I got my soul back, got my desire back, and that was through me really looking, okay, what is good for me? What is healthy for me? Who are the people around me? What are the things I'm going to eat? What am I going to put into my body? What do I want in my life? And it was still a few years, of course, because I was still studying, and I would then, build up resilience trying to finish those studies, even though I lost interest and I completely lost my creativity, completely. Drawing always used to be the thing that I could do really well, and I couldn't for the world of it. I couldn't draw, I couldn't do anything, and I kind of just passed my bachelor, which was a shame to not have gone through it in the way of how I know I could have, but at least I did. I built up resilience in that process of trying to make it work. I failed and I failed and I failed and I failed and I failed. And it took me 5 years to finish a 3-year bachelor degree in women's wear technology and design technology. And in the end I qualified, and I continued with fashion for a few years, let's say, I think it was, 3 years. I, won third place in the competition. I created my brands. I created a cat brand and, sort of like recycled brand, organic brand called Tinky Love, and it was super cool. But it didn't fulfill me because it wasn't aligning to my values. The lifestyle and the people in the industry, they didn't align to what I wanted in my life. And it may be just, the people that I obviously attracted, and, my real lack of self-worth I'm still working on, my lack of confidence, my shyness and inability to push myself outside my comfort zones, to call shops, my inability to understand business, really. It was such an issue. I felt worn out. I felt like I was working 24/7. I was creating clothes morning till evening with my interns, in the house. Everything was a mess. I didn't eat properly. Again, I was constantly in stress. I put on weight. I was trying to impress people, impress stylists. Then I was You know, I was fooled by some stylist, so stuff got stolen. You know, the investments that I put into it basically didn't bring anything back because the stuff was stolen, and you know, all these like promises that had been made from some people, they weren't happening, and I just was worn out in the end. And for many years I had this feeling and this thought that kept creeping up for many years already, like 2 or something. Are you sure that this is completely aligning to your values? Is it truly, you know, like if the lifestyle isn't aligning to the lifestyle that you actually need, then it's not, then it's not true to you, right? So I wasn't eating healthy, and I wasn't having a balanced life. I was stressed constantly, and I was putting on weight. Didn't have time for myself. I didn't have, you know, have fun, and the people around me were taking the piss. So that was not aligning to, you know, the life that I wanted to lead. I want to live a mindful life, you know, to be conscious of my body, and, you know, to have those real connections with people that I can have wonderful conversations about life, personal development, spirituality, these kind of things. True feelings, you know, not just doing small talk or talking about how nice something looks, you know. That was just not my thing. So that was like the biggest hint. It's not aligning to my values. And therefore, many years after I've neglected that intuition that kept coming up, trying to steer me into the direction that was actually good for me, I was dried out. I didn't have anything left, no money, no desire, and yeah, I was quite depressed again. And then my stepdad, who I grew up with from when I was very young, he was an artist, and he, you know, showed me how to paint clouds, how to, you know, look at proportions, and like that was like the thing. He was teaching me and doing in the time with me, taught me how to use Photoshop like really early on, and also, you know, showed me all these kind of things about consciousness, about quantum physics. So all that awareness about energy was really coming from him from a very young age. And he had Alzheimer's or dementia, basically, and he passed away in 2016. And I just made it on time to obviously be there when he did pass. And that experience for me was kind of like groundbreaking, because first of all, I realized how I was wasting my time. I was wasting my time trying to impress people, trying to seek a life that were aligned to what I thought I should be doing, to an idea of who I should be, and it clearly wasn't working. And I was seeking a life, the whole time chasing something when I was missing the life I already had. Like I missed you know, spending more time with my stepdad, spending more time with my family, spending more time, you know, treating my body well now. And I was just wasting a lot of my energy. All the things in my head were, what fabrics do I need to choose, and stuff that I didn't care about. So why was I spending all this time doing what I did if I didn't truly care about it? And then that just hit me. It hit me in that moment when I realized that I'm absolutely wasting my time, my valuable thinking space and time to be there for the people that I loved and cared about. And I was literally just living in my head, right? So I was running after something that I thought I could reach in the future by living in the now, not aligned to what my truth is. So, and that is a huge issue, because you cannot create your life by thinking only. You have to be it now so that it can be attracted. You have to be aligned to the lifestyle that you're leading. You have to put your energy into spending time now with the people that you love, not later. You have to be creative now, not when you get time later. It's all about the now. It's all about the now, because, you know, if you're living a life chasing something that's in the future, like once I hit, I don't know, that point in my life, then I can spend time with the people I love. Once I am ready, then I can go out and, you know, do art or create a business. It doesn't work like that. You have to be it now, because then you can grow into it, right? So my stepdad passed away, and he was communicating through spirit. You know, I'm very sensitive to that, and it was a very, very powerful experience, because he brought art back into my life. Because until then, obviously, as you know, I was doing fashion and all that stuff, but I wasn't doing art since since I was 20, and I think that was when I must have been 28, something around that. Oh no, hold on, that's wrong. 5 years ago, which means I was 30. So I was 30, or just turning 30, and he was communicating to me that, you know, go back to art, be who you are. Stop running away from who you are. Stop trying to be something else than who you are. Just do the things you love to do. And for many years, I had like visions of, I wanted to learn how to DJ, I wanted to create music, I wanted to create art. I didn't allow myself to do that in the now, because I was trying to build on something like a business in fashion, where I had this vision of it working out sometime. And then I can do the things I love to do. It doesn't work like this. So yeah, he brought art back into my life, and unfortunately it had to take a situation where somebody passed away for me to almost like get that message. And it's often like this, that we realize when somebody leaves this physical plane, that, you know, it's a very spiritual experience, where we all of a sudden stop doing things that weren't aligned to our truth, because we realize it's just all a circus. It's a show. It's whole drama for nothing. So yeah, from that point, I did what I loved. I did all the courses I could. I learned to DJ. I, you know, faced my fears and performed as a DJ. I've gone back into painting, discovered my desire for art again, and I loved it. And what obviously was missing was the part of what came most natural to me, which was helping people directly. Because with my fashion that I was doing, with my collections, I was always trying to inspire people, like whether that's the message that I was bringing. And when I did the shows, I would have like this really inspirational music and, you know, messages on the tops and everything, all about inspiring people of their absolute, how would you say, yeah, their power, and, you know, all around personal development. So but that was indirectly, it was like through third party kind of thing. Yeah, you know, I want to help you, I'm going to do that through a collection. So of course, you know, as I was doing art and really self-actualizing myself, I also wanted to help others to self-actualize themselves. And I became a coach. My mum sort of taught me, oh, why don't you do life coaching? And I had no idea what it was. I was like, wow, I can actually do a living with that, like with something that's what I'm doing every day. That comes so natural to me. So that was really exciting. But then I also knew, obviously, I wanted to do art and work with people. For me, it was obvious a decision to do art therapy, to study that. So that's how I found my purpose. You know, it was a journey, but it was all about taking off the layers of where I was bullshitting myself, where I was basically kidding myself. Perhaps protecting myself as well, but at the same time, if I think about it, it's not real protection if, you know, if I believe in, it's not real protection if you don't listen to your intuition. Your intuition always tells you the things that are really good for you. But I had an attachment to a vision that I created because my lack of self-confidence and my lack of trust towards myself, lack of self-esteem, needed to be someone. I felt I needed to be someone so that I could finally be validated to the person that I actually am, and I can show what I've got. Yeah, but I've got all of that inside, but not this way. It's not about from outside in, displaying something and getting gratification. It's not about instant gratification. It's about long-term, working long-term on your long-term vision, but by being and living who you are now. So life gets so much easier when you just admit the things that you love doing. People are scared of doing what they love doing because we've been taught that you can't make a living if you do certain things. And there are families and people who have families who basically are very clear like what they want their children to be, who they want them to be. It's not my mom or my dad in my family that is like this, but one person in my family who basically is very much like that, has a clear vision of who I should be, and why and what I should do, and would be relentless in trying to steer me into that direction and make my life hell if I wasn't, right? So it's very difficult sometimes to know yourself when you don't know yourself, when you're not grounded in your being. I get it. But this is an encouragement to take off those layers, to do what you want to do. If you don't know what you want to do, then go onto discovering what you enjoy doing. Just go after your curiosities and make sure that you attend your psyche, like that you attend your inner world, because this is the foundation to a good life, to a fulfilled life. If you attend your inner world, we all try to just like create our lives and not really attend our inner world, whether that's therapy, coaching, or whatever you want to do, but do have somebody help you with this. So this is one way of how I can explain my story in a nutshell. And I know I talk a lot, and there are so many more like micro stories and stuff like this that I can tell. This is very much about living your purpose and being true to yourself and living your authentic self, and stopping to do all those things that you're not. So I will be talking in this series a lot about that internal world, about emotions, and about your true self, your ego self, to support you in that journey and set those real foundations for you to live a life through your art, because you have to know yourself properly in order to do that. And I will also be diving into, obviously, videos around setting up your art business, all those foundations there, like creating your message, knowing, what your lower hanging fruits are, and your low hanging fruit buyers or customers, right? Directing artists in particular. But all of this information here is all for human beings. So I hope you enjoy, and if you enjoyed this, please do share, like, and subscribe. And if you feel like anybody needs to hear this story, then do share it as well. So thank you so much for watching.